Hello and welcome to my Emotions and Relationships class. Our topic for today is to identify and deal with toxic relationships. I very much appreciate your attending. My name is Andrea and I'll be guiding you through today's class. So I'm always curious, how did you hear about today's class and where are you calling in from? If you can, please let me know in the comments below. It's always helpful for me to get an idea of how our community is growing throughout the world. And I appreciate you sharing. So a little bit about me, I'm calling in from Maryland, which is on the East Coast of the United States, and I'm a wife and mother of 4. So each day, my family and I, we live with 12 healthy habits to enjoy a better quality of life and to support the success of all that God calls us to do. And because these habits have been so transformative to our lives, I make sure to share guidance on both how to implement and stick with each healthy habit so that we can all together live truly thriving lives. So I'll share more about the other videos and workbooks and classes and support groups that I offer throughout the week. But for now, I want to go ahead and jump right into our class. So our goal today is to identify and deal with toxic interactions so that we can enjoy healthier relationships. While we're together today, we'll cover things like identifying warning signs of emotional and mental and financial toxicity. We'll consider toxic interactions in dating, marriage, and parenting and friendships. We'll discuss toxic interactions at school and at work and at church, and we'll prepare healthy responses to toxic interactions. So we'll start with internal toxicity warning signs. So grab your paper and pencil, and if you hear a toxic habit that you've experienced from others, or a habit that maybe you find that you would be a little guilty of doing yourself, just write it down. So let's identify some warning signs of physical and emotional and mental and financial toxicity. So if you feel pressure to binge eat or binge drink, or maybe you feel jumpy around that person, these could be warning signs of a potentially physically toxic relationship. If you feel anxious when they're about to arrive or when they call, or if you feel like you can't trust your judgment, these could be warning signs of an emotionally toxic relationship. If you feel betrayed by negative impacts to your credit, things that are not of your doing, or if you have limited access to shared income, then that could be a warning sign of a financially toxic relationship. So these were all internal toxicity signs. These were the things that you feel, the things that you notice that can give you a hint of what's really going on there. Then there's also external toxicity warning signs. These are things that you can pay attention to, the actions. These are things that you can spot by paying attention to what others say and do. So let's take a look to see if you're experiencing any toxic relationships in dating, marriage, parenting, friendships, at home or even at church, at school or at work. So grab some paper and a pencil, and if you hear any red flags that come to mind, then just write down the name and the habit that you want to be mindful of. So listen to how they're communicating. Is their volume toxic or respectful? Is their tone toxic or respectful? Is their nonverbal communication, their facial expressions, is it toxic or respectful? What about their overall demeanor? Their arms across, are they standing over you? Are they standing in your way and blocking you from movement? Is it toxic or respectful? You can also consider some internal things like whether or not you feel respected or if you feel disrespected. You can also think about if you feel shut out emotionally. Then listen to what they say and the point that they're trying to make. What good do you think could come from their points? Is there anything good that can come from it? Is this something that could help you, or is this something that would only be suitable to tear you down and harm you? So consider, how do they interact with you and your things? Things including your time, your rights. How do they interact with your opinion and your things, the things that are around you, your personal possessions and your personal space? Do you feel like they treat your time, your opinion, and your things respectfully or disrespectfully? So if you feel the internal warning signs and if you notice the external signs, it's time to deal with the toxicity. So here are a few conflict resolution tips to help you try to resolve the situation. But if at any time you feel like you're in danger, please get help and exit the situation. Otherwise, if you feel safe in the situation, just do your best to, 1, maintain a respectful tone, volume, and nonverbal communication. So just, peaceful face, You don't want to be, you don't have to be expressionless, but you don't have to be, visually, animated. So we talked a little about the I messages in the first class, so we can use those I messages to communicate our discomfort, like I hear you say, or I feel hurt by, or I need. It's also helpful to not demand. We don't want to demand, but to ask nicely. Are you able to? Instead of you need to, or why don't you just? Are you able to? Or will you please? And if the toxicity continues, give a warning. So you could say something like, if blank continues, I will be exiting this conversation. So in the interaction, you could ask them, what do you think would be a fair resolution? You could also potentially suggest what you think would be a fair mutual resolution for the interaction as well. And you can try to bring closure. Things like, thank you for communicating this with me. Or just asking them, do you feel like we've come to a good resolution? And you can pray together before you get back into the events of your regular day. So if you go in and you are completely respectful and considerate and kind in the interaction, so ideally, by doing all this, you will have changed the dance, and the other person will see that, hey, this is not a need, there's no need to fight here. A healthy person will see there's no need to fight here. This is a safe place. We can have a safe and healthy conversation, and we can resolve things. And then ideally things will get better. However, not everybody is able or at the point in their life where they're able to interact in a non-toxic way. So if you've done everything you can do, just know that you've done your very best, your personal best, and over time that person might come to the conclusion, but right now it may be best to give yourself and them some healthy distance and to create some healthy boundaries with that relationship. So have healthy relationship boundaries. What will you allow and what won't you allow? And make sure you enforce those boundaries and decline and limit interaction if you have to. And of course I talked about healthy boundaries in one of the other classes as well, so check that one out. So did you notice any toxic interactions? Any toxic interactions in your dating life, in your married life? Anything that sounded familiar from how you interact with parents or friends? Did you see anything from any interactions you've had at church or at school or at work? So if there was anything that were red flags or anything that surprised you and you'd like to share, I encourage you to share just the words red flags in the comments. Red flags or surprised me in the comments. I wouldn't share the details, but you're absolutely welcome to share the details in the support group, which is a safer of a space. So if you'd like to, you can share in support group, or if you want to talk to me one-on-one, you can just reach out to me for coaching. So you may have noticed that I said earlier that my family and I, we live with 12 healthy habits to enjoy a better quality of life. So emotions and relationships is just one of the 12, and we do all this to have less bad habits that sabotage our efforts and more good habits to support our success as we aim to do all that Yahweh calls us to do. So for all these healthy habits, I offer guidance via workbooks, classes, and videos and support groups to help you to both implement and stick with each habit. So if you could use more guidance on this or any of the habits, I'm here to guide you, and you can find more details on my website, which is trulythrivinglives.org. All right, so I'd love to know how you enjoyed today's class and what questions do you have for me. You can let me know in the comments below. If you do, just make sure it's very basic. We don't want to add any names. We want to just make it very, very non-specific. And if you'd like, you can always save your questions for support group or coaching, so it's a little more private. Either way, I look forward to supporting you along your journey. All right, so I appreciated your attending. I hope you really enjoyed today's class, and I hope you have a blessed day.